Hey there, Larry Richardson here with today's episode, September the 2nd, 2019 of Common Sense News. Today we continue our series on the subject of the words people, person, citizen, citizenship, naturalized, inhabitant, as used in the Constitution of the United States. We're going to concentrate on the amendments, which remember, amendments are a part of the Constitution once ratified. If you want to see what we've already covered in the first three segments, go back and look at them. All right. There are four amendments to the Constitution that are now part of the Constitution that are readily recognized as being specifically about who can vote and what states can do about who can vote. Let's start with the 15th Amendment. Now, I'm going to read this one. It's very short. It says, Section 1, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Okay, that's pretty simple. It says that the states in the United States can't prevent somebody from voting because of their race, their color, and by the way, kind of means race and color aren't exactly always the same thing. They are not always synonymous. Or the previous condition of servitude. Now remember, when the Constitution was first adopted, there was an aspect in there about how they counted the people, and in the states that allowed slavery at the time the Constitution was adopted, they didn't let those states count all of the slaves at the same value as the other people, so that those states would have less power because they were slave states. And the Constitution itself set a cutoff date for that to be able to happen. In other words, the recognition that the end of slavery was eventually down the road and was going to take place under these United States was written into our Constitution. Okay, just want to make that clear. So the 15th Amendment, the Constitution says that the United States or the states, they cannot deny or abridge people's rights to vote because of race, creed, or previous condition of servitude. Now, the next one is the 19th Amendment, and this is where the ladies got the right to vote. The 19th Amendment says exactly the same things, except it says because of sex. Okay? The next one is the 24th Amendment, and we're going to save it for last. We're going to go back up to the 26th Amendment, and that is the one where it says basically the same thing as the 15th and the 19th, only it says because of those who have reached the age of 18. Once they've gotten to that threshold, the United States and the states can't use age as a reason to deny people to vote. Now remember, these are all reasons why the United States and the states cannot deny people or abridge their right to vote because of those specific things: race, color, previous condition of servitude, sex, and age once they've reached 18. Okay? Now, that 18, the 26th Amendment, puts what we talked about, I believe, in segment 2, where it says that the electors or the voters in the states have to have the same qualifications as the more numerous house or more numerous chamber of the legislature of that state. And according to that, it would, if South Carolina said you have to be 25 to be a member of the South Carolina House, then the Constitution says that the voters in South Carolina have to be 25 because that's the requirements to be a member of the House. However, this 26th Amendment supersedes that. So it kind of maybe you need to go back at the first part in the section, Article 1 there, and make a little note, except for age, because once somebody's reached the age of 18, they can't use age as a reason not to let them vote. Now let's go back to the one we skipped, the 24th Amendment. This is the amendment that gets a little bit confusing to look at because it is different than the other three. Now, if you will excuse me, I am going to go ahead and look right at my little pocket constitution here as I read this, because I don't want to get anything, I don't want to make it more confusing than it already is. Amendment 24, Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senators or representatives in Congress, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay poll tax or other tax. Okay, now this says you can't, the United States and the states cannot deny people the right to vote because of these reasons, failure to pay a poll tax or other tax. But it specifies the specific elections that they cannot be denied the right to vote in. The other ones are very general. You cannot be denied the right to vote. Now we're talking about some specific elections here. And those elections, let's go over them again. I'm going to read this sentence with each clause on its own so we can get a little more clarity here. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senators or representatives in Congress, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay poll tax or other tax. Now, did you notice that it doesn't state here that governor, House of Representatives for the state, Senate for the state, a judgeship for the state, a secretary of the state, an adjutant general? Those positions are not mentioned here. And since it does mention the specific elections and positions for which positions poll taxes and other taxes cannot be used to deny people to vote, states still have, I don't think any of them exercise this, but states still have constitutionally the right to deny people to vote for those lesser offices if their taxes aren't paid up, if they haven't paid a poll tax. Heaven forbid states should bring poll taxes back. But they are, according to this amendment, there's nothing in this amendment that keeps states from imposing poll taxes and using the payment of taxes, people's taxes being up to date, in order for them to exercise their right to vote for the offices not listed in this amendment. Now, although that I think is kind of the whole concept of that, what it says is a little bit wrong, we have to recognize that there's another amendment that is not normally considered as a voting amendment, and that's the 14th Amendment. We'll look at this one in the next segment. This is getting a little long. Don't forget about STAB. Sound the alarm brigade. Join the public opinion army to help us force the politicians to do their job. Make them find a solution to keep Sharia from invading our way of life. www.ourstab.com, and be sure to subscribe too. Thank you.